It's the 4th of July here in the United States, and it is already shaken by gun violence. The breaking news this hour, a holiday parade in a Chicago suburb has been interrupted by a shooting.
And we just heard, once again, I'll put up on the screen the image, the picture of this person of interest. There he is, Robert E. Crimo, C-R-I-M-O III. This is the person that they're looking for right now. They consider him to be armed and dangerous. They say he's 22 years old, and they believe he was responsible for this mass killing in Highland Park, Illinois. Happening now, breaking news. Police released the name and the picture of the young man, 22 years old, they call a person of interest on the deadly July 4th parade mass shooting in Highland Park, Illinois. And let's show the picture once again, if we have that picture of Robert E. Crimo III. This is the individual that is being described as a person of interest. The suspect, they believe, killed these 6 wonderful people earlier today at a 4th of July parade.
They have apprehended Robert Crimo, Bobby Crimo III, if you want to show that picture of him. This is the individual they put out as a person of interest, although you heard the Sheriff Cavilli there say it's essentially the same as a suspect. He's 22 years old. They put out the license plate, the silver Honda Fit, which appears, I believe, that's our chopper shot.
Well, I think the most interesting part of this is that he was sort of known on these online spaces. He had little biographies written about himself. He had tens of thousands of views on YouTube before all of this happened. He was sort of a known entity in these far right, mass shooting spaces on the internet. That's the difference. Is previously other people were aspiring to get into that space, and this guy was already making really terrible, by the way, art and rap about this sort of thing. He was already in there. So that's the big difference. People like the Uvalde shooter, for example, that was not the case. These are not known people. They are, pathetic people in general who go and shoot up a school, or they shoot up a supermarket or something, and they are seeking acclaim. This guy was, I don't want to say if he was appealing to fans or fulfilling his own, what his music video had shown, but that's the difference. This time it sort of happened in reverse. He was saying he was going to do this through his art for a very long time.
I'm running out of time. Shawty, we can skip class, smoking chill all night.
I will say that this person's obsession with death goes back years, mass death and mass murder. The most recent music video he made was about getting shot by the cops after, committing a school shooting. This is a very uncomplicated ideology this man has in support of mass death. He was also on these message boards that were constantly posting videos of beheadings and murder and things like that as well. This was a guy who was extremely built in to an online hemisphere that was totally focused on killing people. So that I'm sure will come up when this comes down to prosecution.
And Ben, known as rapper called Awake. Dig into that for us a little bit.
Yeah, he's a rapper, and it's not, just some guy on YouTube. This guy had a Spotify account. He had followers. He had a Discord, which is like a message board, a community message board, committed to people who liked his work and were in that space. And for example, the most recent post on the politics forum of his own Discord from one of the users was a picture of Bud Dwyer, that politician who killed himself on live TV, and it said, "Why aren't more politicians like this?" It was a meme about that. This was a rapper who had a community, who had a space behind him, who had enough money to make a music video on a set and all this stuff. So a lot of these other people are just people of the internet. The first time they appear in public is maybe on a live stream doing their mass shooting. That is not the case this time. This guy was known among this community.
Ben, what was the scope of his following? What was the scope of his popularity?
It's a really good question. I do want to stress, this is unlistenable, very bad rap and art. It's it's not even that level. But some people seem to like the aesthetic of this mass murder stuff, which is what this was about. It had a very like Columbine kind of feel to it, if you would call it that. It's very dark. It's a very dark aesthetic. It's focused with a lot of 4chan memes in these spaces too. It's extremely online stuff. So that's where it came from, but it was focused on murder. It was like a lot of death in that space. And that's what you would see over and over again, more than pretty much anything else from this guy.
So the words used, the lyrics in these songs that he had created, this person of interest, was about like the words murder, the words death, the words mass shooting.
Well, the videos around that, yeah, the videos around that were about mass shootings. I don't want to give this guy too much credit and explain what his whole belief set was, but it was just this guy's videos graphically depicted mass murder. And the last one that he put out was in January, and it's unclear what he did in the last few months since this all came out. But it was clear now in hindsight. Hindsight is 2020 already, but clearly this guy was not just thinking about this. He wanted to actually pull off this sort of thing. For example, one of the pictures that cartoons that was drawn shows him with a long gun, and that's exactly what police say he had today during the shooting.